Say something.
Something.
Talk like you really good talk.
How are you today?
I'm great. Awesome sauce.
It's good to hear.
Yes.
Is it picking up good?
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you, Brandon.
Close the door. You're welcome.
All right. So, just to get started, right? So, if you mess up, just keep going because I'm going to edit all of this.
Okay.
Yeah. So normally I don't do the interviews. I'm the person behind the camera, but she couldn't get. She's working double time.
Okay.
So she's not able to make this one, but it's cool because that's why it's two of us.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start. I'm gonna introduce, and then I'm gonna let you introduce yourself and talk about your businesses and basically what you want to talk about in the interview. So you're just gonna introduce, the topic, I'm doing this and this is how long I'm doing it, blah 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 blah. If I feel like you missed something, then I'll go back and ask and reiterate it. But again, if you mess up, just start over. Because all right. So, all right, la. And it shouldn't be too long. It should be about maybe 15-20 minutes tops.
Okay.
It just depends on how deep we get into the conversation. But
okay.
All right. So. Hey Brown Girls, this is me, Desiree, doing this week's interview. I have Eliza here. She is coming to talk to us about her business. Again, if you haven't, make sure to tune into our YouTube channel and follow us on BrwnGrlz ENT on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And let's go.
Hey guys, my name is Eliza Marie. I am the owner and solely founder of Millionaire Moms Playground. I am associated with multiple businesses. I don't cut myself short on anything that I can or cannot do. Documents, errands, cleaning, caregiver, anything that I can get my hands involved, I'm involved in. More so of myself, I am 28 years old. I'm a mother of 3 children who I strive to prepare for the real world. I'm a motivational speaker. I love to inspire and educate everyone out there, especially people of our culture.
Okay, I hear you. Serial entrepreneur, you guys. Serial entrepreneur. So just to kind of jump into the questions here, can you tell me about your journey of self-discovery and how did you come to discover these passions?
So it started before Millionaire Moms Playground. It was me. I was just like every other girl, having a good time, looking the part, in the world, having a grand time, And
definitely relate to that.
What changed everything for me was my mom was killed. She was shot to death at my house. It was a shooting, and in that moment, when they pronounced her dead, I just honestly, I fell to my knees literally, and I told God whatever he wanted from me, that I would do it. I didn't care about anything else. And from that moment forward, I started changing my entire mindset. Prior to that, I was thinking of different things, and I was entrepreneuring then as well. But in that moment, it was like the core of myself. What did I want? What do I want for myself? What I want for the world? It was everything that I felt. It's like you can't replace a mother.
And how old were you when that happened?
That was 3 years ago, coming on 3 years here this February.
I'm sorry to hear that. I really am sorry to hear that.
25, yeah. So in that moment, it was just save the world. Save the world from the things that I've endured. Save the girls from the things that I've endured. So everything that I'm good at, I pursue on a business aspect. If I can help, I'm going to help. If I can be there, I'm going to be there. If I can uplift you, I'm going to do that. And that's how I live my life daily. So I turned it into a business aspect.
Well, that's amazing to take a hurt and to harness it for good. A lot of times people will dwell and sit in their hurt and tend to hurt other people. But you took that and made it something much better. So, your mom is living through the work that you're doing today. So that's the best way to celebrate someone's memory. So I kudos you for that. You know what I'm saying? So, I guess that kind of moved into the next question, like as far as like what inspired you, and were there any particular challenges or barriers you faced, and how did you overcome them? That might have been outside of that, or was that as well for you?
It was that, in how I think about things now. I think about kind of like every decision that I make. Being out there before that death, I was like any other ordinary girl. The hot girls, the fun girls, I was living. Now it's like I think about my actions. I think about my, how can I say?
Your perception.
My influence. I think about my influence. I know that a lot of people look up to me. I know that people watch me. And I don't want to give off the perception of just, the looks, the clout, the fun. It's not about that. It's really about me getting back to something good. Me finding my way back really home. Like, I don't want to be a part of guiding the community into something crazy and gun violence. I really stand for any type of violence. I don't condone it. So now it's like I get into other people's lives. Like, I'm around people that's always in the hood anyways. I'm around people who talk crazy or disrespectful. I'm around people who are not mentally stable. So in all those situations, I kind of weigh in and try to be an influence to something positive. I try to transition them onto a different type of understanding. So it's just the daily walk, honestly. It's something I do every day.
Girl, well, one, I'm going to say, because I'm 33. So I believe that, once we reach a certain age, and scientifically they say that our fontanelles close up and we start making better decisions and choices once we reach 25. So I can say for myself, I was out here in these streets. I was out in these streets hard. When people say, what do you do if anybody wanted to know what to do Sunday through Sunday, I could tell you, because I was there. So I can definitely relate with that. It wasn't until I turned 28 that I started realizing, like, oh shit, I'm going to live to be 30. So what are the things that I take seriously, and how do I want to perceive myself, and how do I want the world to perceive me, and what are the things that I need to do? Because again, I'm the oldest of all the grands, so it's like I'm out here. Y'all have the luxury to live through my mistakes and not make those mistakes. I'm making these mistakes for you so that you can see what happened afterwards. You can see the consequences of those actions, so you don't have to face those consequences. Now, again, I understand people are going to live their own lives.
Correct.
So at the end of the day, you're going to live through your own consequences, because those are the learning lessons that you're supposed to learn. And I can definitely understand wanting to take other people's problems and fix them, become the solution to problems, because a lot of people, aren't able to push through the problems to find the solution. So I really do give you kudos to that as well, because that is a hard journey, especially when you're surrounded by people, because sometimes you yourself can be influenced by these people, and when you're trying to influence people to be better, sometimes you have to meet them where they are to rise them up, but sometimes that's a compromise in yourself. But it does take a strong individual to stay on that path and to stick to your moral code, and to help them realize that, hey, I was this, but you can be this because this is what I be. So I definitely understand that. And honestly, when it comes down to pivotal moments, I'm like, you had a really big pivotal moment. But if there is any other experiences that you feel that have shaped your journey, can you tell us how you learned from those setbacks or those failures, and how they have contributed to your growth and success in everything that you're doing today?
Business aspects. I look at things.
We don't have to be business, girl. It could be life. It could be life business. Because I feel like business in life is almost
it runs neck and neck. Because you kind of, us coming from our culture, we don't know everything. We really don't know much when it comes to a lot of things. When it comes to like core things to help us really get through life, because we're so busy working and to survive. That's all we can do. We don't have time to process our pain, process our feelings, make better decisions. We're kind of just stuck in the race. We're stuck in the continuous thing, just going and going. we don't have time to process our emotions, and that really holds a core value to me. Like, I look at the things that my mother went through. Like, I value her so much because I look at things that I could have handled better had I known better, you know. But a lot of times you don't know better until you do better. And that really holds a core thing on me. I'm like, okay guys, we got to get this right, because I don't want you to go through a dramatic, something that cannot change, something that you can't take back, something that's gonna just tear your life apart, and you have to rebuild. I would hope that I could get you to a point to find peace and find God before then.
And in this journey, you know, because you did state that you're a mom, right? A mom of 3. How do you think those situations have helped you influence your kids, you know, and the things that you want them to be able to do going forward in their lives? I
have honest conversations with my kids. Probably conversations that people are like, they're just a child, but how I look at it is they're little humans. In our culture, our kids aren't allowed to have that luxury to be a kid, honestly. They're already looked at as a statistic. So I kind of have to give them the real. And that changes a whole narrative about life for like me and my children. Far as holidays, I kind of give them the honest concept of where things come from. Okay, this started from this. It's about a tax bracket. They have to meet a quota. Things like that. I honestly tell them the truth, because I don't want them to get lost in trying to live up to something that doesn't even matter. Right now the kids are like into TikTok and who got the newest Jordans and all the things that don't matter. It doesn't have no kind of core value. Like, it doesn't mean anything. So with my kids, I kind of embrace them a little bit more. I try to do gentle parenting. I try not to really put my hands on them. I'm a person as well, so I do have, you know, my moments when I kind of am hard to balance. But overall, I try to give them everything that I wish I could have processed at a younger age. Everything that I wish I understood at a younger age. I take my time and I talk to them through things. Like, if they do something wrong, instead of me being quick to pop, because that's what I'm used to. Like, what? No, I don't want to discipline you that way. I want to be gentle with you. I want to talk to you and find out, now, why did you do this? Like, do you understand when I said what I said? Like, and I'm going to talk to you about it. I try not to be so quick to show defense or show backlash. Like, why does it have to be pain for you to understand something wrong? Why do I have to punish you in that kind of way for you to, you know, do right? I don't want to do that, because that brings me all the way back to another thing of how I think my family was endured all this trauma, all these mental things, all this. I don't want to show force, you know. I'm big on peace, like peace, a lot of peace. I don't choose to be negative. I don't choose to fight back. I don't do those things. I kind of just want to find the reason, and it's okay for us to disagree. It's okay for us to do wrong. We're human. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to do these things, but we have to find balance with each other. We have to choose to be compassionate and humane with each other. So I give them that I give them that side of me too. Like, if I do something wrong, I allow my kids to say, Mom, and people would say that's back talking. No, I allow them to hold me accountable to the things that I say I'm going to do. What I don't allow them to do it. Why should I be able to do it? We're both human. They're no different from me. I'm raising them up to be who I am or better. So I want them to kind of have the outlook on life.
So then my follow-up question here is, because you feel that you had this upbringing, right, and now you're going to change this generational curse, we'll call it generational curse. You know, what resources have you been able to depend on to kind of help you enforce these things, or to continue to go down this path?
God, the only one. Honestly, I kind of taken a lot of knowledge. Like, I listen to influencers all day. How most people look at these TV shows, I don't watch TV. Like, I listen to YouTubers, more so Latoya Okia. I have a best friend who's very spiritual, Shalana. I kind of just stick to my core. I don't believe in traditional things of how they say, you know, I just go to God. I go to God. I process things gently. I believe that we're not meant to judge or kind of find the answers ourselves. We go through things. This is an experience. And I believe that God wants peace. He's the judge. He'll get us through whatever we're going through. We may not know how, when, where, but knowing that our core job is to make it through this, to get through this in a peaceful aspect, be happy, be okay, you know, not be content. We always want to elevate, we always want to grow, but our goal is to make it through. And my only way of making it through all this time, and I've been through a lot of different things since my mom passed, like a lot of different situations, and I'm very proud of myself for choosing peace. Like, how I can let a lot of things get me worked up, how I can let a lot of my situations make me feel lower than low. I find my peace and my joy in God, honestly. Like, I choose good music, sunny days, the things that people don't value. Like, all I need is good weather. God, thank you for getting me to this day. And whatever I encounter, I take it as moments. Like, it's just a moment. And I'll transition my thought from, if it's something that hit me, like, oh, I know this ain't, I don't even look at it like that. I'm like, it doesn't bother me. A lot of things don't bother me anymore.
It just rolls off.
Yeah.
But see, and my favorite word is impervious, right?
I don't know what that means.
So impervious, and when you think about it as an umbrella, how the rain rolls off the umbrella, you're covered, right? So when you're impervious to the bullshit, right? It doesn't affect you the way that it used to affect you. And that was like the first words, not one of the first words, but like in school, I just love that word. It was that nostalgia, and I said, you know what, I think these are two words that define me. Impervious, because I don't want to allow things to affect me in a way that brings me out of character, and nostalgia, because I long for the things that the life, or you know, as a child, you didn't have all of these stresses as an adult. Like, no one told you adulting is ghetto. Right?
I don't think sign me up for this.
I was like, who?
I wasn't meant to do that. I think we're all supposed to be kids for real. Like, we just kids raising kids. We all just kids. If somebody just want to run the world, we like, hold up, you ain't talking to me. Now we gotta become an adult. But outside of that, if I can describe myself in 2 words, I would say resilient and phenomenal. Because I can't believe the person that I am. The decisions that I make, I can't believe in. Like, I was the it girl. I was the it girl.
Okay, like, so for y'all that don't know, what's the it girl? What's the it girl?
I was having my way, you know? Like, I was having my way. I valued taking the trips. I mean, and I want to give that to my kids, but on a different aspect. Like, a lot of times now, it's like people will do all kind of things to sell their soul to live that lifestyle. Like,
how are you here today? See, I think this is how I believe, right? I believe that God aligns things in His own way, you know, and to mirror, for you to see yourself in people sometimes, for you to check yourself, right? You know. And so we recently, last Monday, we did a book club with Bamboozled by Jesus, which was by Yvonne Orji. So if you haven't read that book, check that book out. But and even with the whole Cat Williams and everything, and I don't want to date this interview, but literally we've been talking about that recently, you know, with life and how there are things that you want, like money, right? How what are you willing to do to get it? What are you willing to do to be successful? We even read the 48 Laws of Power, and you know, that book is really dark. Like, I don't care what anybody says, that book is dark as hell.
I've heard
very
of it.
Game of Thrones.
I've heard of it. I've never read it, and I know a lot of people in jail from where I come from, and I talk, like, my brother's there, and anybody that he gets a new cellmate with, I kind of keep in touch no matter where they are, to kind of keep them uplifted and motivated. But a lot of them refer back to that book, and I'm like, I wanted to read it because they mentioned it so much, but I haven't. So we have book club. So you know, we're growing. I gotta join y'all.
Yeah, so we're planning on doing live, like in person, because we've been doing it on TikTok. But the book club is here because information. You have so many books out here and different ways of thinking and understanding, and a lot of us don't have the time to read. I know that's why we generally do Audible. But with that, it brings on these topics and these conversations that I feel that we need to have as a community, especially amongst us Black women. Like, when we're looking to move to a certain level, what are we willing to do, and what are we not supposed to do, right?
Correct.
And when we're taking all of that into consideration, there are a lot of things that we've done in our past that we ain't proud of.
Correct.
Because we didn't know the difference in or the understanding of a moral code. Like, we have a moral code, but it's bendable, right? You know, because we want to get to this level of success. Like, even referring to Facebook, if I would you slap your mama for $1 million, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, mama, you just slapped me a couple times for free. We both gonna get paid, you know. But then that goes back to your moral standing. Like, no, I would not ever harm someone for money. And if you really stand on that, no amount of money will pressure you into doing those things. And so when you're coming into this world and you want to be successful, it's like, okay, with us and Brown Girls, we're doing these interviews. We want to empower women. We want women to share their voices. We want women to speak on their journey. We want them to share with other females that might be where they are to help motivate them up. But, you know, if we really want to go viral, we got to have some ratchet, you know, some real entertainment. And we're going to air quote entertainment to get people to view and to watch, because that's what people want. But if we're saying that we're empowering, then how can we move to that topic, right? So it always goes back to how you're going to stand in your truth and what your morals really are, and if you're standing on business. You know, that's the term for 2024, standing on business.
Right, stand on it.
Stand on it. So I, you know, like I said, the way things lined up, because a lot of the things that you're talking about, I lived it, you know what I'm saying? So it's interesting to have this conversation with someone who's lived it, and we're able to kind of like grow and have a conversation about it in a conversation of growth, right? So I do, again, appreciate you coming on talking about that, because again, like I said, I'm sitting here like, okay, you never know who and what someone has gone through, you know, like that. It girl. Party girl. And I, like I said, y'all, I keep it a hundred. I was a party girl. I had fun. I had dresses for every occasion. The little black, I was standing outside, well, not necessarily standing outside, I had to walk from my car to the front door, past the line, because I knew the people that owned the club, in straight through the door, and was, you know, doing that every day, like, you know. So it's like to actually go back and sit there and think about life, like, I was doing that, but I'm not doing that no more. Like, my years are completely different than those years behind me. They're behind me. I've learned from them, but I know that's not how I want to live anymore. And people that have known me, that are re-meeting me, because you know, even if that's not a word, I'm reintroducing myself to them. They're seeing this difference because I'm not the person that I was, and we all should grow. Because in our 20s, listen, we done did everything. What else is there to do?
We just didn't know, though. Honestly, we didn't know what else there was to do. I mean, as our culture, we have a good time. You know, we're known for having, and I would never deny myself that even now. I still love to have a good time, but it's not what you do, it's how you do it.
In controlled environments, safe environments.
You got to know. And see, I've been big on entrepreneurship. I was kind of spoiled, I would say, coming into my adulthood. That was me being the it girl.
We women.
Yeah, you know.
We're supposed to be.
Yeah, but I mean, I really was having my way. It wasn't nothing that I couldn't have. And me going through that, I was like, you know, I don't want to work. And I had this mindset of, I don't want to work for the white man. You know, they've got enough years for my people. I want to be there for my kids. I want to be able to listen to them. I don't want to be tired from a long day of work and not want to hear what they got to say, or don't want to cook a meal because I'm too busy on this clock. No, I want to take the time to be a good parent to them. And so I'm like, you know, I want to do entrepreneurship. Let's try that. But during having that path,
listen, that's a hard path, girl.
I'm 5 years straight up until this past, like, what it was, September maybe? I probably went and got a job. 5 years. And I was like, you know what? Let's try something different, because it can be up, it can be down, and the struggle be real, but we don't like to say that. We don't want to share the struggle. We don't want to say, look, I
share the struggles.
I don't got gas. We don't want to say things like that, because in this world right now, everybody's judging so bad. You know, if you don't look like this, if you don't got this stuff going on, they make you feel less than. They're so judgmental.
And that's because we're in the age of social media, right? Because the thing is, when you look at celebrities, a lot of times you don't hear their stories till after they make it, because they weren't relevant enough for you to want to listen to their stories, right? It's not until someone has reached this plateau of success that we
now they go digging into their lives.
Now they want to know. But the thing is, like, everyone has a struggle. Everyone has their own struggle. It might be less than someone else's struggle, and it might be more than someone's struggle, but we can't deem someone's struggle on a different level than ours, right? We have to respect each other's struggle.
I just wish that we would share more compassion no matter what the struggle is. Like, why are we looking at it to where we can say, oh, well, her hair looked like this, oh, she was wearing that. Why are we worrying about things like that? Why don't we care about each other enough as a person or as a whole? Like, I don't care what we've been through some things. I'm there for you, you're there for me. Let's look at each other as not no kind of enemy, not no kind of hostility, not no kind of judgment. You are who you are. Like, why can't that be okay? Why can't it be okay for you to just be who you are, go through what you go through, and me just be here as a person? Like, I'm sorry you went through that, or what can I do to help? Or I'm not looking from a judgmental bone in my body. I'm not here to aim to speculate through your life and figure out. No, I'm here to hold you accountable to becoming a better person. You know, just be there.
And I feel like, because we're in the age of social media and all these false narratives that have been put into our head and our brain about what success really looks like, that we forget that small wins are big wins for everything.
Correct.
And that we as people, like, you're doing the grunt work, right? It ain't pretty, it ain't sexy, but you're doing the grunt work. You're speaking to the people that you grew up with,
and it don't pay a lot.
And it don't.
But it's about fulfilling your soul. It's fulfilling. You know, I'm not in it for the money. All of us want to be millionaires. We want the mansion, we want all that. But outside of that, I go back to, if we were back to the basics of what God brought here on this earth, none of this shit would exist. None of it would exist. So what I have you have me. What can we create? What can we make? How can, I mean, we gotta go day to day. Yeah,
that's the best currency.
And that's what I live for. I live to make myself feel whole and happy, and I want that for the next person too. I want them to find that balance. If they had nothing, they would still be okay. You know, we're gonna have a party out here in this field and pick dandelions. I don't care what it is, we're just happy, we're whole, we're not wilding and just judging and chaos. It's just too much. It's too much. I love the basics. I love the basics. That's what makes me change my lifestyle. Like, I had everything. Prior to my mom dying, I had everything. Like, own my house, own many cars, taking trips out of the country. I gave everything up. The diamonds, everybody, I had everything. I gave everything up to make a difference in my family life. Like, build a family business, I built a trucking business. Build a trucking business. I just like, okay, what can I do to, everybody needs money. What business can I get into that generates money for everybody to be okay, so that they can get back to their core of just being all right? Like, I need y'all to be okay, because I'm a family. I have 5 other siblings. I'm the oldest girl. And my mom and dad been married my entire life. They got married when I was 6 months old. And they are all they knew. Like, my mom was 14 when she met my dad was 16. My dad came from the bottom of the poverty level during that time period. Like, my family was the last ones that were sharecropping. Like, they stayed on the farm, whether it was peaches, pecans, apples, plum, whatever it was that grew on those trees, they was picking them, and the man would let them get half to take home during certain seasons. They didn't have a lot of things like running water in the house. Like, my dad came from that. My mom was introduced to that. She helped him grow, and they built a life together. But it was a struggle. And me looking at how I came up, like, I didn't have the best of clothes, the best of shoes. I was always a beautiful girl, but I didn't feel that, because everybody else that I'm in school with, they're picking me because of what I do and don't have, you know. And me doing that kind of changed my mindset. Like, that core wasn't solid to me, because my parents are working. You know, they give me a kiss, say I love you, but we didn't have a lot of talks that what people need, what humans need. You need those talks to know what's what. We didn't have a lot of those. Like, I knew I was loved. You know, I know my daddy didn't play. I know my mama, you know, I know their characteristics, but we need those core talks, because this is a world of so many things that we need to have key points with one another. With all that happening, that's how I became the it girl. I had an outlook on life of, you're not going to give me hard dick and bubblegum. So I chose to who has the potential to help me grow in my mind and where I'm going in life. With that happening, I kind of just chose someone who could help me grow. And with me choosing that, it's like I was given everything, but that made me value kind of
nothing.
Let
me walk off real quick. Let me walk off real quick. Let me walk off real quick. Because honestly, we have lived the same life. Like, you might be, 28, but 33. I did this. I walked that same path, right? Walked the same path because at the end of the day, I seen people struggle, and having that family dynamic. Because I strongly believe in creating that foundation young, right? Because I go to science a lot because I like to read. I'm a nerd that way, but science and psychology states that you're first formed in home, then your next influence is your adolescence, like the kids around you. They form that other brick layer, and then adulthood, another layer is formed. But if your foundation in home was strong, then these influences have some influence, but not major influence, right? And when you go from a non how do I say this? You come from a non-stable situation, then you're going to seek stability, right, in your adolescent and your adult years. But that stability is also a hindrance because you're not stepping out on your own faith. You're not stepping out on your own beliefs and stuff like that because of the fear of the stability, losing the stability. So I was in a situation like that for a very long time. And he's still in it. But I'm breaking free. But God, when he come talking to you, you can't brush him off. You can't dismiss him. He's gonna find a way to talk to you. If it's through movies, music, books, people, you're gonna start getting this message, and it's gonna be like, okay, you're gonna come to your knees, like I'm tired of you talking and screaming at me. Let me just do what it is that you're telling me to do. And and that's when you start to find yourself in another fear, right? Because you're walking into an unknown. The stability aspect of life has been the comfort that you needed as a child, is fulfilling that childhood trauma or that childhood wants, right? But we got adult. Adult now. We gotta walk. That's why we have years of childhood, years of adolescence, and years as adults. We have to walk into that adult life, and we have to start making adult decisions. I tell people all the time, I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. That was my thing.
Please don't make me go to school. I don't want to go.
No, but and school is not just a building. Life is school. There's so many things that you're going to learn, and so many things that life is going to teach you. It's just, are you taking notes? Are you paying attention? And are you passing these tests?
Because that's how I look at things. It's God. Everything is a test. Everything you endure, you kind of, those lessons, those circumstances, everything you got to find balance with and have to choose yes or no. Am I gonna do this? It's a test, and until you start checking them off, you're not gonna elevate. You're not gonna grow because it change is uncomfortable. We don't like being uncomfortable, so we're like, I don't think I'm gonna go back over here and work this bar somehow. I know they just did a shootout, but man, I need this money. You got to make that decision, and you got to trust God enough to know that I don't know how, God, but Lord, you're gonna give me this 340 tomorrow because something need to happen. It's hard to trust your faith. It's hard to walk by faith. It's a test. It's hard.
And reiterate, because I don't like to date these things, but the Bamboozled by Jesus, it's a 5-hour read. But if you have Audible, check it out, because I felt like that was a really good book to start the year off with, because she's talking about what we're talking about. She's talking about how she had a vision from God about the life that she was supposed to live. But, you know, from being at point A to point Z, you got to go through the rest of the alphabet. But you only want to go through, you want to go from A to Z just like that. But you have to be molded into this person to prepare you for Z, right? And so that whole, she talks about her whole journey from B to Y, B to Y, right? And B to Y, and that's a good, that's a good, I'm gonna use that copyright, right? But why, right? Because like going through all of these things, and you're getting tested, and you want to give up, you want to give up, because there are days where you don't have gas, there are days where you don't have money to pay your bills,
and the kids are crying and wanting this, and or even the pressure of somebody else pressuring your kids. Like that's when, like, that's how I look at things. Like, I seen my mom struggle, but I didn't really kind of care about it until it affected me. Like, okay, Mom, I can't get these shoes. I can't get these Christmas gifts. But it's like, okay, now my values aren't where they should be. And so that's where I kind of reiterate on my life with my kids. Like, you guys, we got to talk about some things. We got to talk about what matters and what doesn't. And it's like, that's what makes me want to get out into the world.
You posted on Facebook about Christmas and your kids. Yeah. I was like, love
breaking these traditions, like breaking the traditions, because it's not a holiday, it's not nothing about God, it has nothing to do with none of those things. But they know how our families are built. They form the structure, the system for us. So now we're just within the role, just going with it. No, we're not doing that. Why? Who said that's what it's supposed to be? I don't care if everyone else is doing it.
I like to bust people's bubbles, right? So this is why I don't want to be the ones doing the interview. Because I'd be so humble. Because I'm like, in reality, they gave us a choice, and we took it, right? So when it came down to the family structure after slavery, we were actually doing great. We were doing great as a family dynamic. The man was back in the home. We had 2-parent families. Kids were being raised by both parents. We had that strong foundation. But then the government introduced Section 8. So they said, we'll help take care of you women, but your man got to be out the house. And women elected for that, because now they can get government assistance, they can get this, they can get housing, they can do this, and now the man is out of the house. So that started breaking down the structure, because now these kids are growing up seeing their mom do it, or seeing that their dad was absent, or seeing their dad being snuck into the house, or things like that. That structure was broken down because we as a people chose that. So like a lot of times when I'm talking to people, I want people to understand that all the choices that were actually made, we made as a people. And in order for us to change those things, we actually have to be accountable for these choices that people before us made, to break those generational curses, to say, hey, I'm not electing to do that. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to choose to raise my children with my husband or their father, because this is what's good for them, or whatever. I'm not going to depend on the government. I'm going to duke it out, and stuff like that. And I know that that's hard, but then that goes back to being comfortable, right? If we are so comfortable with the way things are, then nothing will change in our community. And in our society. And so like, I like to have these conversations. The interviews are here because, again, I want us to have these conversations with each other, share with our friends, let people understand that there are people that are wanting to see us do great, want us to be great, and just share that so that people can understand that it starts with us. Like, we have to take these opportunities to sit down and have these conversations. We have to sit down and actually have the conversations, and talk about the things that are comfortable, uncomfortable, our life, the things that we've gone through, so people understand that you're not the only one facing these things.
You're not by yourself.
You're not by yourself. You're not by yourself at all.
This ain't a struggle none of us have not seen. This is a lot of us to go through the same things, but we're so scared to open up because the world that we're living right now.
The vulnerability aspect of it is that, me putting myself out there is somehow harming me, right? And it's harming me because I'm being open and vulnerable to attacks. And the thing is, you know, and we talked about social media world, we talked about those things, but you know, we have to also accept that it takes you being vulnerable for someone else to be vulnerable, and that person being vulnerable for someone else to be vulnerable, and then we start that chain.
We have to make it a safe haven.
Yes.
We have to be each other's safe haven.
Which is crazy to me because we live in a sensitive world now, right? And you would think with the sensitivity era that we're living in that more people would become sensitive and understanding of people's struggles and their lives and be more, and because 2024 is grace for me, right? It's the year of grace, and it is the year of standing on business, right? So we need to, as people, have more grace with our fellow man, understanding their struggles and stuff like that. So you know, I'm big on that. You know,
that's about building them back up. Like I look at how you say the 2-family homes and things, because I kind of chose to part ways, but I'm like, oh no, we need to find this balance so that the kids don't lack what they need. And that's hard. Like I'm now, like my oldest is now about to be 8, and I'm looking at, okay, like I think I got this on the roll, you know, but then I'm like, no, there are certain things that I struggle with. It's certain areas, like, okay, they's having these conversations and I don't know where to go with this. You know, you need that male figure, you need that man, you need the black man. If we don't empower them, if we don't help, they say women mature more faster than men, so we don't want to give them as much grace. You know, why you do this, why you do that, we chastise, and it's so many choices, we're out to go now. If someone's worth fighting for, if someone's worth building with, if your children are the world to you, you kind of gotta find the balance of not giving up and not going with the influence of choosing all these other things outside of building this man up. The black man is going through so many different things. They go through so many different things, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that pressure was like that. You know, like, and it's like, it's so many ways for them to get caught up in situations, so many ways for them to lose their lives only by just trying to survive. They don't know a lot of things. Like, they just don't. Like, coming from my area, the people that I know, they just don't. You know, they fall victim to a lot of different things, like how they get money, what they know mentally, emotionally, they're not stable. But it's
also representation, and I think representation matters in our community. You know, what you see every day, what you're
correct, that environment matters
in your face. You know, because I said this again. This is why I don't like doing interviews. But you know, Obama, right? He being a president showed so many black boys and girls that you can be more than a rapper, more than a basketball player, more than an athlete. You can aspire to being the head of a country, and I love that representation, and that's why I'm so big on, you know, representation. Like, even with these interviews, you have a business. A lot of us are entrepreneurs, but we're not. The spotlight isn't on us, right? The spotlight are on these people that did it this way or doing this, you know, and this is what they're seeing. This is what they think they have to aspire to. But you can open a trucking business. You can open a janitorial business. You can open a film business.
But they don't know any of these things because they're not taught these things. Like, it goes back to the systems that were booked before us. They let us play the sports. They let us, you know, we can put on a good show. We can entertain. They keep us in entertainment. It's hard to learn something different when you have no time for that. When the world that you live in is so much pressure, so much stress, violent, toxic, those are our environments. Like, that's what I came from. Like, that's a lot of what I know. So I'm looking at situations, I'm like, you really have to take time out what you don't have time for. You got to build discipline, which you really don't know much about. We have to really rebuild ourselves up. You have to have a community for that, you know. And if you don't have the community, you got to trust in God. But it's so hard for people nowadays to take that walk, because it's like, how this stuff gonna get paid? You know, that ain't gonna stop these people from not liking me. That ain't gonna stop these people from stop talking about. But it's like, you gotta kind of block out everything, or God will knock you back down to the core, where it's like, yeah, all these things are going on, but I need your attention. And that's where I kind of step into people's lives. Like, look, please don't lose your life or have to go to jail or have someone that means the world to you taken out for you to change your mindset. Because it starts with the mindset. Nothing's going to happen overnight. And like you said, we here at A and we want to get to Z. We want the doggone Tesla, like my baby say. We want the mansion. We want to do the arm with the the dumbest things in the world. But you can have it, but you got to get through all these processes, and you have to be patient with yourself. You have to grow. You have to learn different things. You have to be disciplined. All the steps and like you have to learn to trust that process and know that you're going to get to the end goal. But you got to have a core to know what the end goal really is. It's not all those things that you see. That's non-valuable. That's the trick. Yeah, that's the trick of the system. It's not about none of that. You know, don't lose your soul trying to gain something that has no value. It's crazy. And that's what my core falls on.
And see, that's where my struggle is, right? And I tell people all the time, this is my struggle. My struggle is I want to be super rich. I want to live on the moon. You know what I'm saying? All of these things, right? But then at the same time, equally, I don't necessarily care about those things because my thing is people, right? And if you are spiritual or believe in God or the universe, whatever your beliefs are, your faith, if we go back to Jesus' teachings, right? And I talk about this because a lot of people who are religious, you know, and nothing against religious people, but the religion aspect of that is that they're teaching certain elements of religion and they're not teaching the actual teachings of Jesus, right? And the teachings of Jesus was that we're all equal, we're all the same, and that's why he would get down and wash everyone's feet to show that we're equal. And the powers that be did not want people to understand that we're all equal, being that now if we're all equal, then why are you richer than me? Why are you taxing me? Why are you charging me this? Why are you doing this? You know, and everybody wants to be better than someone else, right? And so that's where the struggle really lies in people wanting to be more than the next person, right? It's that competition, right? So when you understand that, and you understand why they killed him, to take over and control a religion that was growing, that was actually challenging their hierarchy, you start to understand things a little bit more. And so with me, that's the struggle that I live in, because I understand that in the society that we live, we got to pay for things. We got to pay for water. We got to pay for food. We got to pay for all of these things. And the government itself had put things in place for us, like farming. They put in farming regulations where you can't farm in your own backyard, or you can't collect rainwater. They have all of these laws in place to inhibit you from being self-sufficient or non-reliant on the government. And so, you know, when you understand independent, exactly. So that's my struggle. My struggle is being there for people, because people are truly the currency in this world, but also understanding that we need this green coin, dollar, Bitcoin, whatever, in order to pay these bills that we have now gotten accustomed to being a part of our lives, like light, water, electricity, home, and all of these other things. Like, you know, that's my struggle. And I tell people, you know, and you know, I hate to do this, but because I'm 33, I feel like there'd be life advice that I can give, you know, to other people. Because when you talk about discipline and you talk about growing and growth, you know, you're not to say that your life is, you know, less than mine's, or your experiences are less than mine's, but in my experience, I've put myself in books. History repeats itself. I put myself in books. I read. I don't really follow politics that much, but I do like to look at laws. I like to follow laws, because a lot of the times when you have things going on, like Cat Williams or the Oscar slap or other things going on, they're passing laws left and right because they're distracting you from knowing what's really going on. I don't look at this mirage that that they push, because that's what it is. It's entertainment, and it's a distraction from what's really going on in the world. I also definitely, with reading, I definitely believe in finding, like, you know, school, right? You have these courses that you take. Well, if you didn't finish school, or you didn't go to school, or even if you did go to school, there's still things that you can teach yourself and learn. Financial literacy, taxes, people skills. There are a lot of things that you can sit there and teach yourself, and you're going to have to practice these things, you know, in order to get there. And I'm, like I tell people, I'm very transparent. I'm 2 years into fixing my credit.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started in entrepreneur, my credit was great,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't know that I needed to do this. I didn't know that I needed to do this or this. I just wanted to create, and as a creative, that's all I thought about. But then as I got into business and I'm pulling money, because there are days and months that I'm not making money, I'm pulling money off of this credit card, this, that, and the other. I put myself in debt, and now my credit reflects that. So now if I'm trying to 4 years later in my business do this and do that, I can't pull from it because my credit's messed up. So now I've been teaching myself financial literacy for the last 2 years, and I can say that I'm in a better place than I was before. I'm not at the top of my game, but I'm better than I was before.
Because you're not knowing.
Yeah.
Like, you got to know. It's no risk. I mean, there's no reward without risk. And that goes with, there's no failure.
I could have stopped myself from, and that's a lot of times when I hear people going in the entrepreneurial world, they're like, I don't want to do that because of this, that, and the other. I'm like, well, guess what? Yes, it might have been a longer, harder journey for me, but now these lessons I cannot forget.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
right.
There is no way that I can forget these lessons, and I can strongly speak on what I've learned to put into someone else.
Correct.
Listen, if you're gonna do it this, make sure you do it this way, this way, this way. At least do these 3 things first. Just do these 3 things, and you will be in a better position. Exactly. And we have to be open and receptive to learning from other people, just so that we can put ourselves.
We work
in a
stronger
position
as a collective, as
yes.
a group. We can't, like I just posted, that Rome wasn't built in a day. We can't do anything too much by ourselves. It takes being resourceful. It takes reaching out. It takes networking. It takes being honest. It takes those things, because we don't know it all. We can't do it all. We can't wear all the hats. We can learn a little bit of this, learn a bit, but we're gonna need each other. That's how we relax. And you see a lot of cultures, they do businesses together. They take over together. We are so spread thinly because I believe back during slavery time, we were taught to hate every aspect about ourselves so that we look up to them. Now we can't come together because we're still, that was passed down. We're looking and judging one another. We're all just alike. We're going through the same things, our core values, the same kind of things, and a lot of people talk about the United States or the black race because of what they see on the news. They don't know how we got here, what brought us here, what our daily struggles are, how our mom went through this, our grandma went through this, and now we're just results of all these. They don't know any of those things. They just look at, oh my God, it's horrible there. Those black people, no, it's not that way. And we won't change that narrative until we pull together.
But I'm gonna put this narrative in there too. African, so if we really came from Africa, right? If we really came from Africa, we sold ourselves, right? We sold ourselves to these people, which is why sometimes the white other side is like, well, we didn't know y'all were slaves. How would we say how y'all gave y'all to us? You know what I'm saying? And I can understand that in a sense, because slavery has been a part of every race. Italians, Europeans, Africans, Australians, the Native American. When there has always been a war, there's always been slaves from that war, right? So if I went to this country and I now have taken control over your country, your women, your men, they became slaves, or they became this, serfs, and whatever they wanted to term them. Slavery has always been a part of the world, right? Now, I say that to say that, again, in order for us to start being accountable for things, there are things that we gotta accept, right? So, like, even in childhood, we're raised by our parents. Most of the time we have some type of resentment because we realize that our parents weren't the superheroes we thought they were, because we have this superhero tendency when it comes down to how we look at our parents, right? We go through a period where we realize that they're not human, and that they're human, and so we're battling against these beliefs that we once believed, right? So in that time we have the ability to either accept it or don't accept it. And when we don't accept it, we see the struggle continue because it's this resistance, yes. But once we realize, well, my mom was human. She did the best that she could do based on the situations that were presented to her. Because in my life, the situations that were presented to me, I did the best that I could do.
Correct.
And I probably will be judged for those same decisions by my children, my sister, my family, and my friends. So when I start giving grace, then I understand how I can now change and push myself in the way that I want to go. And so I say these things to my people, because I feel like, y'all, we have to understand certain aspects of life, because if we continue to point the finger and say this, that, and the other, we're going to stay where we are. This resistance is going to stay a resistance. But if we start accepting the things that we don't want to accept, because it's the hard truth, it's the hard reality, then we can start moving forward. We can start going to the places and doing the things and picking each other up the way we're supposed to as a society, because it's not on them what we decide to do as a society. When it comes to us, our kids getting killed by other races, we want to, this, that, and the other. My thing is, well, okay, if we really want to see this stop happening, we do what every other race do. We pull our money and we pull our resources from these people and let them feel what not having us does to the economy. And when we do that, those changes are made. When we look at, we make an impact together. When we look at Martin Luther King and March on Washington, the Montgomery, and all those things, it was nonviolent. Now they might have been violent towards us, but we were nonviolent, and we boycotted. And when we boycotted, okay,
now we got to
all these niggas was riding this bus. It was mostly niggas who was getting money from them, but now we ain't got it. Okay, well, shit, if we want to continue to function and have buses, we gonna have to let them sit wherever they want to. That's not a hard ask for, that's not a hard ask, you know what I'm saying? And so that's why I feel like, as a people, when we start really understanding what's going on and we stop allowing these people to tell us these things and to feed us these things, that we can decide and come together and make these changes that we really want to see change. All right. Because honestly, I don't even know. We was talking so much. I'm like,
where we at?
All right, so I'm gonna start back at. Can you share any pivotal moments or experience? Well, I think maybe we did talk about that. Maybe that was caught. But all right. So as with everything that we discussed, right? As a role model for other aspiring Black females, what advice would you give someone wanting to work in this industry or any industry? And what are some of the key lessons you've learned along the way that you think others could benefit from?
I would advise you all to trust the process. Know that if you don't know something, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask other people. If you learn something, take the time to learn something first. Take the time to learn something. Learn as much as you can about it. Because I made the error of learning but also not using my resources. I was afraid to jump out there. I wanted to trust what I knew. I didn't want to ask. I could have got on Indeed and made a job posting versus trusting what I wanted to do. It's okay to alter your plan. It's okay to stop and start. There's no rush on anything. Be graceful with yourself. Be patient with yourself. It's okay to fall as long as you get back up. And if you want to do any sort of business, know that as long as you're taking a step forward, you're succeeding. The only time you fail is when you give up.
Thank you for that. And and again, I know you had said something about resources.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think that resources are is a monetary thing, and it's not. It's connections and networking.
Yes, it's about if you know someone who can help, or even if you don't know who can help, don't be afraid to talk about what you're doing. Don't be afraid to say you don't know what you're doing. Be vocal. It's a lot of help out there. That don't have to come from money. Money is kind of like the least thing that you need to worry about. As long as you're putting yourself out there and reaching out to someone who can help you, you never know what can happen. That comes with trust in the process. You never know who will be able to support you in the area where you need help. So don't be afraid to reach out to somebody for the talk, for the accountability, for the support. It's so many different ways other people can help you. So don't be afraid to just be a people's person. In business, you got to learn how to speak. You learn how to network. You have to not be afraid to go out there and be about what you're asking about. That's why I say learn what you're doing, but also don't be afraid to accept that I may fall short. Someone else may know something that I don't know. You know, be okay with saying it's not okay. I don't know what I'm doing. You know, I don't want to make the mistake. So let me just go talk to somebody. Talking can get you a lot of places.
It's not what you know, it's who you know.
That's true. That's very much true.
And no, and I feel like a lot of people, when it comes to no, they think that no means no, right? And no doesn't mean no. It means either not right now or not from this person. You know, no doesn't, and no shouldn't stop you. I talk about childhood a lot. I'm like, when you wanted to learn how to walk, you didn't accept no for an answer. You kept trying to walk until you was able to run. Okay, so you know, no is not a stopping point for you. I definitely, you know, I see you saying no to not being able to continue. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's the only no that matters. No, I'm not going to stop this journey because I know this is what God put in front of me, and my place. I'm playing my position in the world that. And in this I'm playing my position in this role that he has placed me in, you know. And
it's okay to, when you get that no and you get discouraged. I mean, we're human. You're going to feel these emotions. It's okay to take that break. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't know where to go with this. But don't ever stop believing in the vision that you set for yourself. Because a no right now might turn into the next time you get at this, you might excel crazy because you've learned so much. You've talked to somebody who changed your mindset. It's so many different things that can play into that. So just don't be discouraged. You know, no matter what, trust the process. That be to why is so important, because you got to know nothing. It's not so easy. But the more you find peace with, I might get this wrong. You know, yeah, I tripped up. Yeah, I stopped. But until you finalize, like, okay, this is over. I'm not doing this no more. It's never a failed attempt. So what you're saying is failure. It's not failure. It's not failure. It's not failure. There is no failure until you just like give up. But giving up ain't an option. Like for me, I feel like it's not an option. There's so much to change. There's so many people going through different things. Even if I stop what I'm doing over here, as long as I'm still outpouring what I have to give, and I can help somebody else get to where I am or excel past that, I'm still succeeding. There is no failure. Like, I'm 100% on that. Like, give yourself grace to give cheers to where you're going. Like, I haven't done that enough. Like, I've done so many things I've never known anything about or how to do it. And I'm like, oh my God. You fell into it. Yeah, like, what? I can't believe it. And it's just so much pressure of wanting that success, wanting that Z result. Like, oh my God, I'm still not here. I messed up this much money. I took that chance and now I know better. I've learned so much and I can tell you better. I can guide you on a path. And that's the thing. It's about not only about ourselves, but what we're learning, what we're able to give, and how we're able to come together from that. And, you know, as we were talking, you know, and talking about your businesses, because I realized we didn't really go in to your businesses. That's why you're here. Yeah. So we went into life. Yeah, we went into life, because life be life in it, you know. And I feel like this journey that we are speaking on, we both have been on it. We're both still on it. So, you know, we have a lot to talk about when it comes to this journey, because there is so much to talk about when it comes to this journey. But, you know, when it comes down to your business, you know, I want to know more about what you do, you know, because I know you stated that you do I know you said that you did a trucking company. I don't know if you still do that, but with everything that you have going on, can you just let us know like about your businesses? Yeah. So I'm pretty hands-on. When I say entrepreneurship, it's me behind the back office. It's me doing the paperwork. It's me doing the calls. I am the resource. And if I'm able to outsource, I will connect you with someone who you can connect with as well, who's better at something, who knows more about it, who can put you where you're going. But my business is, I'm good at anything behind the desktop, documents, forming PDFs, anything that you need behind the computer. I am the virtual assistant. I love forming tasks. Like, I love holding people accountable. So I do virtual assisting. Caregiving. I am for my community, and a lot of people don't have help. So errands, caregiving, if you need help with getting things done, if you need help with transportation, I'm the helping hand. And that pushes more so into, I'm building a nonprofit. It's called Mama's Helping Hands. We're formulating that. Outside of that, trucking, I have took a break from trucking. It's a lot of money invested in that, so it's not over with. It's just it requires a lot financially. But I know how to form businesses, trucking or any kind of different business. I am seeking the financial help, as far as me using a firm now to formulate my business correctly, so that the credit aspect, I'm able to get the funding that I need versus me spending so much money out of pocket.
I can help you.
Those are errors. Those are errors that I made. What else is it that we do? I'm more so on the day-to-day basis. I'm just the person that you call for the motivation. I'm your motivational inspiration here. I will hold you accountable to what you want to do. Tasks and all that. Normally we look for financial gains, but I don't do it for the financial. If I can help, I'm here to help. You know, if you can help me back, then so be it. But I'm not in it for the money. I look for people to call me. Call me if you need me. Whatever service you see I offer, call me if you need me. And I'm going to be there, because that's what we need more of. You don't have to, I'm not in it for the money. We want it, we need it, but if I can help you, I know in the future you'll look back and say the same thing for me, or do the same thing for me. So that's how I look at it. It's out the kindness of my heart, everything that I do.
And so if someone wants to reach you for you to help them with any aspect of business or for the services that you provide, you know, what would be a great way for them to get in contact with you?
My flyers are everywhere, literally everywhere. On Facebook, you can find my personal blogging is Eliza Marie. My business page is Millionaire Moms Playground. That's on Facebook, Instagram, and on TikTok, I'm on Eliza Marie _the beauty, where there's a lot of inspiration there as well. And a lot of humor. You know, I'm real. But yeah, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram, Eliza Marie or Millionaire Moms Playground. And just reach out. Don't be afraid to talk to me. I'm human.
Alrighty, well, I really appreciated our conversation. I know we had like a little technical difficulty, you know what I'm saying, but I thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story, sharing your inspiration, your telling us more about you as a person, just everything. It was a great conversation, and again, you know, everybody, make sure you follow her. She gave you her social media, and of course we're going to have, you know, all of that plastered on the video as well. And yeah, I mean,
it's been great.
This was I'm leaving here feeling motivated.
I'm fulfilled, you
know, and I feel like, you know, I got the message that was meant for me here in this sitting today. So again, make sure you guys are tuned into our YouTube channel, which is BrwnGrlz ENT. We have our interviews that are posted on Tuesdays. We have our book club, which is going to be posted on Wednesdays, but our live book clubs are on Mondays on TikTok at 8 p.m. And again, we have several interviews that have been posted previously. So season 1 is up, so make sure you check it out. This is season 2, so of course make sure you check out season 2 interviews that are up now. And make sure you're following our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, BrwnGrlz ENT. Make sure that you're following us. And if you know anyone that is interested in sharing their story and have a business that they would like to promote with BrwnGrlz, make sure that they reach out and hit us up. We'll be more than welcome to have them here, so they can have their moment and share their life, their experiences, and what they're doing to make our community a better place. So again, this is Desiree. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Okay. Let's see.
Then we